Welcome to the FullyCrypto podcast.
Hello and welcome for the first time in 2021 to a brand new episode in a brand new year of the FullyCrypto podcast, your home of quality blockchain and cryptocurrency news, reviews, opinion and more. My name is Mark Hunter, and with me as usual is the man whose dry January is about as effective as Capitol Hill's no entry signs. It's Alex Mears.
Good afternoon, sir. How are you doing this year?
Very well, thanks. Not a bad start, mainly because I'm not in America.
Yeah, there's that. How's Brexit going?
Well, I mean, it's been and gone. I think it was slightly overshadowed by what happened in America, so there was that. But it was a bit like New Year's Eve. Like, it ticked over, and everyone waited, and nothing happened. And we kind of thought, oh, well, that was expensive, and went home.
I get the same impression. Nothing's changed. I've not noticed anything anyway.
Well, I mean, I'm not a lorry driver trying to get from the UK to France, so they may have a very different view of things. But personally, it's like anything. It's like a change of government. Generally, overnight, nothing happens. So it's going to be a slow drip feed of things changing. Obviously, with COVID and stuff, it kind of puts it on the back burner a bit. But no, nothing's happened so far. I think all the damage has been done to a point, so we shall see.
I was reading that some lorry drivers had their ham sandwiches confiscated at the border, because they're not allowed to import meat from outside the EU.
But is that true though, or is this just wives making really bad ham sandwiches for husbands and they're using any excuse to get rid of them?
Yeah, it's probably that. I mean, we've all been down that road, haven't we? Whether it's wives, parents, the ham sandwich ends in the bin. Yeah.
And you know what kind of ham it is? It's that really thin, wafery, watery ham, isn't it?
Yeah, that smells like eggs.
Yeah, and it goes a bit green. It has that weird kind of sheen on it after a few days in the fridge. I wouldn't touch it.
No, I mean, you're better off drinking something you find on the floor or just eating roadkill.
I mean, as long as you've got a Kit Kat and an apple in your lunchbox, just go for those.
No, exactly, yeah. Or just buy something at the truck stop.
Yeah, it's got everything you need. It's got all your food groups catered for there. So we were going to talk about Bitcoin's extraordinary price action in recent weeks, because obviously we've been off since before Christmas. We were going to talk about that until yesterday. Ledger continued their shocking start to, well, I was going to say their shocking start to 2021, but their shocking continuation from 2020 by confirming another breach, which, as we'll get into, has been known about for some time. I have a piece out today which is basically a timeline that splits apart the two breaches that Ledger have suffered now, because this was part of the problem, is that there was people all over Twitter. They got an email, like both you and I got these emails this morning from Ledger.
Yeah.
Your first response is it fake?
Exactly. It was in my spam. That's why I was confused.
Yeah, so we got this email through saying there's been this second breach and there's been 20,000 more users affected, and thought, hang on a second, is this brand new? Is this an old one? So I've gone back through all the stories and I've split the two breaches that have happened apart, and I think we're going to go through, look at what happened, and really pull apart Ledger's reaction to what's happened, because it's been an absolute shocker of a PR attempt they've made. So if you can spare me the time, Alex, we're going to go through this Ledger shit show.
Of course, I can't wait. Obviously, we're both involved in this. Mm-hmm. So let's go through it and see what happened, when it happened, and why it happened.
So, essentially, everything started back in May last year, when a cryptocurrency and kind of data breach specialists on Twitter called Under the Breach, they posted online this purported leak from Shopify, which, for those who don't know, I think it's a Canadian e-commerce service provider who Ledger used to process their transactions. They posted something. They said, well, look, we found this database of Trezor, Ledger, Bank to the Future, loads of companies, all these customer details, including customer names, addresses, phone numbers, all this sort of stuff from all these different companies. Now, this first tranche of information, they said that there was 41,488 Ledger customers that were affected, 4,000 KeepKey customers, and over 27,000 Trezor customers. Ledger's response to that was to put out a tweet saying, "Rumors pretend our Shopify database has been hacked through a Shopify exploit. Our e-commerce team is currently checking these allegations by analysing the so-called hacked database, and so far it doesn't match our real database. We continue investigations and are taking the matter seriously." Now, I don't know about you, but when someone starts a tweet with "rumors pretend" and kind of sort of ends it with analysing the so-called hack, does that strike you as a company taking it seriously?
No, it sounds like someone's trying to make it out like it's nothing or it's a bit of a joke.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not what you want to read, is it? When you could potentially have been involved in it.
No, it's an incredible response. I mean, even if you're completely sure that the whole thing is fake, then you're a bit more professional about it.
Yeah.
I don't know how you could phrase it exactly, but you don't say, "Oh, there's people pretending and a so-called hack," because you can't be 100% sure.
It could be that, or it could have just been that it got lost in translation.
I don't know. I mean,
because Ledger aren't. What is it? They're
French.
Is it?
Yeah, which you could put that down to a certain point. I mean, rumors pretend. Yeah, okay, that's a mistranslation if you like, but you get the sentiment behind it. But then even if you can forgive that, but then they do say the so-called hacked database. I mean, maybe they're saying so-called because maybe they don't realise how it comes across. But in terms of PR, when most of their customers are English speaking as a first language, why not have an English speaking person doing your Twitter feed?
Yeah, exactly. You need someone from an English speaking PR firm.
Yeah.
And I think that's where they fucked up big time there. I mean, it sounds like they just didn't want to surrender to the hackers, so they're fighting back for once.
I mean, either that or they were just so blasé because maybe they'd never had anything like this before. Ledger had never been hacked before or anything like this, and maybe they were just too blasé about their own security to say, "Oh yeah, this will never happen to us. It couldn't happen. It's impossible." Maybe that was their attitude.
Reminds me of the Maginot Line.
Yeah, they'll never breach it, never get past. Oh, who's out the Nazis? Oh, shit. Yeah, so Trezor responded at the time, and they said that basically we don't use Shopify, so it can't have been us. You'd think that could have maybe influenced Ledger's response a little bit, because they say, well, if Trezor say it's a lie, then it must be a lie. But the Trezor response came after the Ledger response, so Ledger didn't know that others. Yeah, they didn't know that others had poo-pooed it immediately. This was a response entirely of their own. So that came and went, and there was nothing more publicly for a while. And then a month later, on June the 25th, Ledger suffered a different hack. A misconfigured third-party API key was exploited, and this was when their e-commerce and marketing database was nicked, basically, and sold for lots and lots of money over and over again on the dark web. This wasn't known about for another month, when on July the 14th, a bug bounty hunter reported to Ledger what he had found, that on June 25th, all this stuff was taken. So Ledger did some investigation, and they found that 1 million customer emails were stolen, alongside what they said at the time was a subset of 9,500 customer names, addresses, and telephone numbers. Mm-hmm. So they found out on July the 14th, and it took them 2 weeks to tell anyone. Now, I know it takes time to investigate these things, but that seems like a long time for me.
Yeah, it's too long. I mean, if you find out that happened, you should be working on that 24/7. You should tell all 9,000 people instantly. You shouldn't, even if it takes like 2 hours to write the email, just be like, "Hey, look, we're really sorry. We just found out this got leaked. You're in it. Just so you know." That's what they should have done. And
you know what? Even if they got this email or whatever from this guy, they were like, "Okay, let's look into this." Once you've got the names, even if you're investigating, maybe they wanted to avoid more bad PR. I don't know. So if it comes out that it's not true, because let's face it, if they said the last breach couldn't happen, was impossible, they may have been equally blasé about this one as well. So they might have been like, "Oh yeah, it can't be real. We get these all the time. Let's just take our time and look into it." That might have been the response. But surely the moment you know that there's this list of people, you would just contact them directly and just say, "Look, this may be nothing, but you could have been compromised. Change your email, change this, change that, just in case."
Yeah, that's what they should have done. And it feels, again, like they're just trying to ignore it till it goes away. Like they're they're too like, oh, our security is so much better than everyone else's, so it can't be true. They got a bit arrogant.
And maybe they thought that email addresses weren't that bad. Maybe they thought, 1 million sounds a lot, but maybe they're just email addresses. We'll just get them to change their email. It'll be fine. And if these 9,500 people, it's not very many, they'll be fine as well. Maybe that was
Yeah.
their attitude.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, to be fair, if you've got millions of customers around the world, 9,000 is not that many, is it?
Yeah. They again, even so, at this point, they still seem like they just don't care that much.
Yeah.
So that broke on July the 29th, but it was a big story because it was the first time that they'd been hacked, and I think maybe even the first time that a hardware wallet manufacturer had been compromised in some way, because obviously hardware wallets are supposed to be the highest point of security for a retail investor. And we should point out here that there was no hint that anyone's funds were at risk. They didn't get into the devices themselves. The actual physical devices weren't compromised in any way, and they still aren't. It's the company itself. It's the company's own security that is the issue here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's their servers, their databases, their mess basically. It's like their address book got nicked basically.
Yeah, which for a company that's supposed to be security first is quite incredible.
It's a bit scary.
It is, yeah. Again, maybe speaks to their attitude. So on September the 23rd, this one sort of slipped under the radar as well a little bit. Shopify admitted that 2 of its customer service representatives stole customer data from over 100 specially selected clients and sold them on the dark web, or passed them over to individuals to sell on the dark web. Now, at this point, when this story broke, the clients weren't named, but it didn't take... it doesn't take a lot to put together the fact that, hang on a second, there was a supposed Shopify breach back in May, and now a few months later, Shopify have admitted that over 100 companies, potentially up to 200 companies that had been purposefully selected, had been breached and the customer details stolen.
Yeah, again, that's quite suspicious, and you should instantly be drawing conclusions back to sort of crypto-related firms from that.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, especially these things are carefully selected. You don't just pick 100 at random. Like, that would be pointless. If you're going to pick 100, you pick 100 that have high value for resale. So, people who are going to be fairly easy to be scammed.
And it reminds me a bit of what happened with the SIM swapping in the US with T-Mobile. You had these guys that worked at the call center that were in cahoots with dark web, traders. And I don't know who approached who first, but I can't think it would be particularly hard for these dark web guys to go on LinkedIn, go on Facebook or whatever, and find a bunch of customer service representatives from T-Mobile, contact them and say, look, if you can get hold of these phone numbers, we'll carry out a SIM swap and we'll pay you 10% of what we get, which is pretty much what happened. It was an inside job. Millions and millions of crypto got stolen, and I honestly don't think this is that much different.
No, exactly, and I think customer service reps are the easiest ones to go after, because who do you pay least in the company? Oh, the customer service guy who's been there 6 weeks.
Yep.
And is probably going to quit in another 6.
Yeah.
Companies don't care about these guys. They're not really vetted. They're not checked. They're just in, do the job, then they're out. Replaced with someone else. They're high turnover jobs. So, they just move quickly. So I think it's smart, yeah.
I used to work for a recruitment company, and one of the big contracts we had was, at the time, what was Virgin Mobile. We looked after their call center, and we must have put in 30 employees a week. I would do 2 lots of interviews a week. We'd have targets between 25 and 30 employees a week. All in customer service would be going in, and they'd be leaving just as quickly because it was constant refill. So yeah, these guys, they go in, they're badly paid, they've got no allegiance to the company whatsoever. If you're approached and these guys say, look, we can get you, a few $100,000, you're going to take it.
No, exactly. You definitely would. Even if, you're just not interested in a customer service rep, you just get the job because they're easy to get. You don't need any qualifications, just have to answer the phone.
Yeah, exactly. So that was in September, and then nothing happened for 3 months until, as I think we all remember pretty clearly, on December the 20th, the information that was stolen in the Ledger breach was dumped publicly on the internet, and rather than the 9,500 customers with their phone numbers, addresses, and full names and everything being stolen. It was 272,000, which, I mean,
Just a couple more.
just a few more, a slight increase. If Ledger hadn't understood to this point the severity of what happened, I think this was the moment where they were like, this is real now.
Yeah, it's become a very big problem, and they need to do something big about it. But do you know what I mean? Like at this point, they'd still kind of like, yeah, you've been involved, but it's okay, don't worry.
I get the impression that they were kind of a bit cocky, a bit arrogant through the whole of 2020, and then when this came out, they were suddenly like flapping around. They didn't know what to do. I get the impression this one really spooked them, because this was suddenly all out in the open, loads more, hundreds of thousands more customers than they previously thought. I think they realised that this maybe could sink the company if it came to a lawsuit.
Oh, exactly, and I think that's what will happen eventually. You got to think about potential GDPR infringements because they didn't secure the data properly. Mass lawsuits from the States where people are getting like harassed, abused. I mean, like, I don't know if you've had any yet, but I've had one recently where it's very clearly a scammer. They're demanding, was it 0.3 Bitcoin? Otherwise, they're going to give all your details to local thieves. And I mean, like, I just replied back to it saying like, okay, fine. I mean, the locks on my doors aren't for my safety; they're for yours. So feel free to come and break them if you want. But I mean, there are people who, in countries where it is a lot more dangerous, like for example, America, where everybody has guns.
Yeah.
Like, do you potentially want that? Like, are you going to risk it? And I think from that point of view, where they're potentially putting people's safety at risk as well, they're going to get a lot of trouble.
There's been no signs yet of a class action lawsuit coming their way. They have already said that we're not going to make any financial contribution to customers because that will cripple the company, which leaves them open to potentially being crippled by lawsuits further down the line. But at this point, it seems like there's no lawsuits gathering action from a multitude of customers. But you're right. If something were to happen to someone, if there was a violent act carried out against someone and they could prove that this was done because of the leak, that's enough, surely.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, that's enough to take them to court, take them down, especially in the States, where the rules about suing people are a little more relaxed.
Because I don't know. I mean, they're a French-based company, so I don't know how that would work out. I'm assuming, you can from the US, obviously you can still litigate in France. You just have to maybe go a different way about it. It's not as easy as doing it in your own country.
Yeah.
But if something happens to someone physically, then that's geographical barriers aren't going to stop them.
Oh, exactly. If someone breaks into your home because they know you got Bitcoin because of this leak, and you turn them into Reaver Steenkamp, then there's going to be backlash.
Yeah. So that was December the 20th, and Ledger may have been thinking at this point, while they were dealing with that, they may have been thinking that things can't get any worse. And then what we learned today was that only 3 days later, Shopify contacted them to say that, you were among the companies targeted in our breach from all those months ago, and this is our database that was stolen.
No.
Bear in mind, back in May when this happened, they said that the databases don't match. They said that the database that was online that was stolen doesn't match our records. The reason it may not have matched their records is because there was an extra 20,000 victims that weren't in the Ledger leak that were in the Shopify leak. So these may have been 20,000 people that they may not have had on their records at the time. I'm not sure.
Oh, Jesus.
So as of today, there are 20,000 people who have been, since December 20th, when they checked their names on that list and didn't find them, have been thinking they've been perfectly safe because they weren't on the list of fully exploited individuals. But no, 20,000 extra people now know that all along they have had their details out there the whole time.
That's nasty. And do you know what makes it worse is the fact that they've lied about it. And they tried to cover it up. They've tried to make it seem like it's nothing.
Yeah, well, we'll come on to their response in full in a second. So that was December 23rd. They got that information through. So then another 3 weeks it took them to tell people about that, which is a week longer than it took for the first leak.
Oh, no, that's disgraceful. They should have done it instantly. They should have pulled someone back in from their Christmas vacation and been like, look, we need to send this email now, do it. But I mean, I've been reading as well, like their customer support tickets are taking ages to answer as well. They don't seem to be giving any information, any help, any guidance. People are just angry now. Like it's, it wouldn't shock me if in another month's time we hear something else like, oh yeah, by the way, all your credit card information was shared. Like that's what I'm waiting to hear next.
Who knows? I mean, if they have been this slipshod with both the actual security of the information and then so lackadaisical about the response to the leaks, who knows what else there is out there? Like you say,
Exactly, because they're not they're not owning up to it. They're not, giving us the full picture instantly. We're getting it in drips and drabs.
yeah.
So who knows how long this is going to go on for and how long they're going to hide stuff. I mean, say, for example, Shopify doesn't come out and be like, yeah, by the way, you lost all your credit card information as well. And maybe it did happen, but because Shopify haven't said it, Ledger won't say anything. Who knows what else has actually happened? They're just not telling us.
And I can't believe that it took them 2 weeks to reveal the first leak after they found the information. So, they got a lot of backlash from that. So you think, okay, well, they must have learned the lessons from that. But no, even though it's over Christmas, they still take a week longer to reveal a bigger leak. That can't be right, surely. They're going backwards.
Exactly, it's not acceptable. It's poor form, and I don't know. Maybe they have bad actors there as well who are trying to slow it down, hide it, cover it up.
Potentially. I mean, I think the morale there must be so low.
Oh, yeah.
From having been recognised as one of the top two, if not the most respected cryptocurrency hardware wallet manufacturers, their reputation now, I mean, do you think their reputation can be repaired after this?
No, it's not possible. Not unless they do something very special. Not unless they say, okay, we're gonna, I don't know, refund everybody who's on this list. I think that's the only way they could do it. And then promise to up security, to, if anything happens again, they're going to promise to report it instantly the second anything dodgy happens at all. But I think it's still going to be very hard, even if they do all that.
Yeah, I mean, they have been promising every single time they have referenced this leak on Twitter and in their other kind of blog posts and things. They've mentioned all the things that they're doing. And I read it, and it doesn't really make any difference to me because I'm not going to use them again. I don't trust them anymore.
Exactly.
The damage is done, so it doesn't really matter to me at all what they do. It doesn't matter to me personally what they do from here because I'm not going to use them again. Now, if a new entrant to the market comes along and they go to the Ledger website and they look at all the fancy marketing material and they find out about the leak afterwards and then they read up and say, oh, actually they seem to have done a good job, I'll trust them. Fair enough, go for it. But, you think over a million, 1.2 million people affected by this. That's 1.2 million people who not only are never going to buy Ledger again, but are also going to make sure that their friends and family don't buy one either.
Exactly, yeah. You're going to become an advocate against Ledger. And I think you're going to become an advocate against paying for these wallets because you don't know who else holds the information, who is acting badly. And I think it's going to spur on a wave of paper wallets, randomly generated keys that you do yourself and you just write down and look after. I mean, sure, the tech is nice to have, like it's easy, it's quick to use, but there are other options out there that might cost a little more to set up, possibly some less, but they're a lot safer. There's a lot less people in the middle to fuck up.
I think there is also a strange kind of irony about the fact that if you mention cryptocurrency security to anyone in the space, they'll talk until they're blue in the face about protecting your coins, protecting your keys, don't leave it on exchanges. They'll go through all this stuff. But you wouldn't even think about saying, oh, by the way, when you buy something online, check who holds your information and check which third parties they use and check that they can manage their API keys effectively.
Yeah.
You wouldn't even think about going down that road. And after all, again, I wonder if this is where Ledger went wrong. They put so much emphasis on the product. They put so much emphasis on the security of the product itself that they forgot their own security.
Yeah, exactly. You think that would be one of the things they actually care about and do first.
So assuming that there is no further information that comes out, there's no further leaks, that what we have now is what we're ever going to get. Sum up for me what you think is in store for Ledger for 2021.
Oh, honestly, I have no idea right now. I would say they're probably going to spend a lot of time in court. They're going to lose a lot of money, probably go under. Like, I can't see them coming out of this one. Like, it's just too big, and the way they've handled it has just been so bad. They've bungled it at every possible opportunity. Even if they give everybody that was affected a new wallet, doesn't fix stuff. Like, your address is out there. People are getting like death threats sent to them, and it's just, you can't fix that. You're gonna buy everyone a new house, pay for them to move. Yeah, it's not feasible. So I think the people who have had everything leaked, their full names, addresses, phone numbers, they deserve some sort of compensation from this. You can't just say like, yeah, sorry, our bad, and expect people to forgive you. I think at this point, you need to sort of give some serious compensation, because it's a big mistake.
It's big, but it has the potential to be so much more serious. Like we said earlier, there is the chance of a class action lawsuit against the breach itself, going by the GDPR regulations. I think with that, only customers within the EU can put that together. So being in the UK, I now can't do that.
Yeah.
So unless there's going to be some guys within the EU that are going to do that, it's going to rely on other countries using their own data protection systems to do that. If there's no class action lawsuit as far as that goes, then you're almost waiting. I mean, I would hate to be the Ledger CEO, because he is waiting for that headline to pop up to say that someone's been murdered or beaten up or whatever, and their cryptocurrency wallet stolen because their details were published online. I mean, he's obviously had sleepless nights since the big leak in December came out. I think he's been a worried man since then.
Yeah.
And I don't think he's going to get a decent night's sleep for the rest of the year, because he's going to be just waiting for that to happen.
Yeah. Yeah, not until everything is sort of settled.
So it seems like it's going to be a bad year for Ledger. It may be a very good year for Trezor. Although, as you say, it may have put people off hardware wallets completely.
Yeah.
They're, like I said, they are supposed to be these kind of bastions of personal security, which they are. The products are very good. The products are fine. But if the company backing it has got faults in it, then you can't see those faults.
Exactly.
So you can buy something from someone and not know what you're dealing with in the background. For people that do own ledgers and weren't affected, do you think it would make any difference to them, or are they going to carry on using them anyway?
I really don't know. I think it depends on who they are. Because you have some people that are very security conscious. They'll be like, I got lucky this time. I don't want it to happen to me. So I'm going to get out of this as fast as I can. That's how I would take this if I wasn't affected by it. I try and mitigate my risk as much as I could. I don't think I would trust them. I would get rid of it. How about you? What do you think? What would you do?
I think if I hadn't been affected, I might think to myself, well, you know what? The damage is done. As far as this one goes, the damage is done. The information is out there. I would probably be more inclined to look at the steps they're taking, because my information is with them. I can't reclaim that information. I can't take it back. So if there's a future hack, it doesn't get out. It's there. They've got it. And whichever other company has got it. So I have no choice but to trust them now. And really, my trust for the company and my information is very different from the wallet I've got in my hand. So if I can't reclaim the information, I may as well keep the wallet, because it's out there. There's nothing else I can do. It's gone. So I may as well keep what I paid for, knowing that is not going to be affected by it.
Yeah, there is that. And I think as long as you're sensible enough not to fall for any of the scam emails, then it's okay.
Yeah.
Like, it's not really the end of the world. I mean, okay, you're going to get loads of spammy emails, but, I mean, so far, no one's really abused the address part. So I think that's the most important thing. If the addresses start getting abused, then I think it becomes a bit more of an issue.
Yeah.
But like you say, it's out there, it's happened, just roll with it.
Yeah. Indeed. So, as 2021 unrolls, I'm sure we'll see what happens with that. There's definitely going to be repercussions somewhere along the line. You can be sure of that.
Yeah.
And the last thing I'll say on this is that if you have been affected in any way, or even if you haven't, but you're worried about what might happen, Alex, I think you posted a good guide shortly after this happened as to a few steps you can take on the website, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, just sort of covering you with the basics, how to protect yourself as best you can, how to clean up their mess. I mean, very simple. Just change your phone number, change your email address, or just carry on using this email address, but don't use it for personal things. Go get a personal email address and then use this as your online thing address.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and move house if you can.
It's a last resort, but it's the only way you can be completely safe, isn't it?
Exactly, yeah. This is the only way you can be 100% safe, sleep well at night, and not worry.
Cool. Sound advice. Right. Well, I think we'll leave that there. Alex, a pleasure, as always, to talk to you.
No, it's been great fun. I mean, shame it's not a happier topic today, but it's very important, and I think it affects a lot of people.
Yeah, well, 292,000 people directly, we now know.
Yeah.
Before we go, please don't forget to like and subscribe on your platform of choice so you never miss an episode again. We have some very exciting guests coming up in the next few weeks and months, so you won't want to miss them, so make sure you've got your alerts and everything turned on.
Yeah.
Thank you once again for listening, and from everybody here at FullyCrypto Towers, we'll speak to you again soon.
Yeah, Happy New Year, everyone.